Hi, welcome to Season 2 of 3 and Out here on LTTV, live from Palmer's Place in the Grange. My name is Johnny Lombardi, and with me, Connor Onion. Connor, back for a second season. I can't believe they brought us back.
Oh, it's great to be with you, and it's funny, last time we were getting drenched right now. Yeah. We had to cut the show short, so they moved us inside this time. We've got the controlled conditions, almost like a Miller Park, I guess. So it's great to be with you and great to be dry.
Absolutely. We moved in the roof this season so that we would stay dry for you. But we're going to be here every week all summer long bringing you the latest sports news and information. And, you know, Connor, summer started this weekend, and it's been an amazing pre-summer of sports so far with the World Cup, with the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals. This has been a plethora of great action so far.
Well, what's great is it's just getting started, too. I mean, the World Cup, we're not even into the knockout round yet. We have games in the group stage right now that are being decided in the 90th minute and later, and it's great to break up the boys of fall. I mean, we're used to bad baseball here on the north side and the south side, so to talk about a different sport throughout the summer when basketball's at rest and football's at rest is sort of a refreshing feeling.
Absolutely, and speaking of soccer, a heartbreaker for the United States yesterday in the World Cup as the USA and Portugal tie 2-2. They tied, but it felt like a loss. You could kind of say the United States fell to Portugal 2-2, giving up the second goal to Portugal in the 95th minute, 5th minute of extra time to force the tie. United States was that close to clinching a spot in the knockout round, Connor. Just really a heartbreaker for the United States.
It really was. I was down at Grand Park ingesting the action with 10,000 other United States soccer fans. I've never seen more red, white, and blue. I mean, 4th of July, it didn't even come close to that.
No comparison.
No comparison at all. But when that goal was scored in the 95th minute, it was shocking just how the air was sucked out of the environment. People, they looked up at the screen, they saw the goal, they saw the final whistle. Not a word was spoken. People just turned around and headed back to their train or to their cars. And really just a miserable feeling to be that close to being into the knockout round in the group of death and to not see it come to fruition.
You know, we've talked about all of this group of death that the United States didn't match up with Portugal, Germany, and Ghana. Got the win against Ghana 2-1, the 2-2 tie to Portugal. And, you know, now, not eliminated, the United States is still very much alive. And, you know, win or a draw against Germany on Thursday to advance. Even with a loss, if Ghana or Portugal don't win by enough of a goal differential, the United States can still advance. But, you know, as you said, to come that close, Dempsey's goal in the 81st minute, to take the 2-1 lead after being down 1-0, and then Varela's goal in the 90th minute, just crushing the United States. But I say crushing, but I don't mean crushing because there's still a lot of optimism to be had. The United States played very well in that game.
Yeah, it's still crushing. They did play very well. Jurgen Klinsmann's done a great job of, I don't want to say overachieving because he knew his team had the talent. Yeah, he did say it's unrealistic that his team could win the World Cup, but to do some damage in this group, absolutely. They're matched up with the number 2 and number 4 teams in the world. And have they played their best soccer? No, but they dominated Portugal at times. They're dominated by Ghana at times. There's sort of a flip-flop in games 1 and 2, but still, they've gotten the most out of some of the players who they need to get that little extra out. Guys like Jermaine Jones, who was a guy that almost didn't make the starting 11. He was thought to be a reserve coming into camp. He broke into the starting 11. One of the greatest goals in U.S. history, potentially. And the fact of the matter is, in spite of the fact that Michael Bradley, the best creator on the top of the midfield, he has not played his best soccer. He made some boneheaded decisions.
To say the least.
He had the giveaway yesterday in the midfield that cost him that goal. And then he almost did the same exact thing in the Ghana game where they almost came back and tied it. And Jeff Cameron, an absolute mishit, trying to clear the ball out of the box on Nani's first goal. So despite those two not playing their best, two crucial guys that they need if they're going to beat Germany or tie Germany, they've not played their best soccer yet. So, I mean, they can raise that bar from here to even up here and move on to the knockout round if they play their best on Sunday or on Thursday.
Aside from the United States, there's been some other amazing surprises so far in the World Cup. Defending champion Spain already out after 2 games, eliminated from the World Cup. The defending champs gone just like that?
I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. They came out so flat in both their first game against the Netherlands and then again in their second game, being outscored 7-1. I mean, these weren't. It would be shocking if they drew both of those games, but to lose 5-1 to Netherlands, I'll give them credit. 2010, they were knocked out by Spain
in the championship.
Right. They came out hungry. They came out very hungry, and that goes to show you why it was an absolute drubbing. But still, to lay an egg the second time around, you thought maybe that 5-1 drubbing would be a wake-up call. It wasn't. They came out flat. some of their veteran guys. I mean, pretty much the same starting 11 as they had in the 2010 World Cup.
Yeah.
And their body language, they were hanging their heads. It was a lot like the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. Once they got down on themselves, there was no looking back. Netherlands, laid the lumber on them, much like the San Antonio Spurs did in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, Spain with 3 straight major soccer championships: 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euro, or 2008 Euro, 2010 World Cup, 2012 Euro. But a couple other surprises: Mexico beating Croatia today, Brazil beating Cameroon. Those 2 teams advanced from Group A. Netherlands and Chile in the group with Spain. Those 2 teams advanced. Colombia has been a surprise, first time in the World Cup since 1994, the well-documented Andres Escobar game. The first time they've been in the World Cup since that year. They make it out of the group stage. Costa Rica, shocking Group C. Italy and England and Uruguay. That's been a huge shocker there.
Oh, absolutely. And CONCACAF has been all over the map. Mexico went through on Monday. They beat out. It's escaping me right now. They're advancing on through their group. Mexico's advancing. Costa Rica, the United States, very well in the mix. And it's really impressive to see teams from the North American region do a little bit of damage against the likes of the European teams, the likes of the South American teams. In England, on the negative side, though, they've been they didn't have many expectations coming into the World Cup, but they're a storied soccer club. They have the Premier League, one of the best leagues domestically, and they just haven't been able to get it done in the past couple of World Cups.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look now at the group standings for all the World Cup groups, and some things that really stand out. France rebounding from a really bad 2010 World Cup to lead their group. Messi and Argentina doing work, and they've looked all right in a pretty not strong group with Iran, Nigeria, and Bosnia, and Belgium's looked good in their group. But as I said, Costa Rica and Colombia, a lot of big surprises. Obviously, Spain going out, so it's really been open season so far, Connor.
Well, Zinedine Zidane, I thought that he had cursed France in 2006 when he headbutted an Italy player. I thought that after they lost the final to Italy, maybe they would never return to form in the World Cup. Yeah. But they've been able to do so, surprisingly so. I knew this team could be dangerous, but I didn't know if they would follow through and actually put it into action, but they have, and they've been mighty impressive.
Absolutely. Still a lot of time to go in this World Cup, looking to get into the round of 16, but USA-Germany Thursday, Connor, real quick, what's the key for the United States?
Well, there are questions right now. You need a draw or a win to get in. Do you play a sloppy style of football and sort of just play kickball and stack the back line, crowd the midfield, and maybe settle for a 1-1 or 0-0 draw? I mean, Jurgen Klinsmann, they started the tournament with a 4-4-2. Do you go to a 4-5-1 and, like I said, crowd that midfield? Are you content with that, or do you go for the win? I don't know. I mean, personally, I like to see exciting soccer. I want to see them go for the win, take their chance. I mean, if it doesn't work out, I mean, then it's just not meant to be. It's not meant for them to move on. But still, they should not be scared of this Germany team. They showed they're vulnerable against Ghana. They showed that they can hang with one of the best teams in the world in Portugal. And I think that this is going to be a very good match, and the United States is going to show whether or not they deserve to be with the best 16 teams in the world.
Absolutely. Well, coming up next here on 3 and Out, we'll move from the soccer pitch to the hardwood. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on 3 and Out. Hi, welcome back to 3 and Out. Johnny Lombardi alongside Connor Onion. From the heat in the Amazon in Brazil to the heat in San Antonio and South Beach in Miami, Connor, the NBA Finals didn't live up to expectations unless you were a Spurs fan. San Antonio winning the Finals 4-1 and 5 games over the Miami Heat. A convincing, as you called it in the first one, a drubbing by the San Antonio Spurs over the Miami Heat. You just look at some of these scores, Connor. Game 3, 111-92. Game 4, 107-86. Game 5, 104-87. It was the depth of the Spurs that beat a Miami Heat team that just couldn't find any offense outside of LeBron James.
Well, I went with drubbing in the first segment. I'm going to go with an absolute bludgeoning in this series because that's what it was. The Spurs, the Heat had no answer for them. I mean, they out-physicaled them, they out-finessed them, they outshot them. That first half in Game 3 when they shot close to 90%, nobody has an answer for that. But
it set the tone going into from San Antonio into that set the tone, that first half right there.
It did, and the reason that happened in the first place was because Kawhi Leonard decided that he was going to actually show up to the series. I mean, I don't know what he was doing. He must have been sleeping on his boardwalk, back porch or something during the first couple of games because he was nowhere to be seen. But in games 3 through 5, 20-plus points in each of those games, And also defensively, he had the tough task of guarding LeBron James. I mean, he didn't slow him down, but who can slow down LeBron James? LeBron James still got his points, but fortunately for him, he had enough help behind him where it didn't cost the Spurs.
I mean, you can afford to not necessarily slow down LeBron when none of LeBron's teammates were scoring either. There's no Wade, no Bosh, no Haslam, no Birdman, no Chalmers really stepping up to help. And then that just fell right into the Spurs' hands. It's a much deeper team that they were finding offense from obviously all sorts of people. Boris Diaw, Thiago Splitter, all those guys providing enough offense for the Spurs, whereas the Heat just had LeBron. And it just really goes to step into LeBron. Is he going to opt out? This is the end of the big three in Miami. What is this offseason going to look like for the Miami Heat?
Eventually, I think they will opt out. I think that they're going to have to take a little bit less money, but ultimately I think that they will end up back together as a group. Whether or not Carmelo Anthony joins them or not, that's still yet to be determined, but they'll definitely have to take a pay cut if that's the case, because you don't have 4 max contracts to spend on Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and DWade Wade. But if you don't go the Carmelo Anthony route, you have to get younger. Mario Chalmers, you mentioned, disappeared in the NBA Finals. DWade Wade, he looked old. I'm not saying that DWade Wade's done. DWade Wade, very well, 32 years of age, can still come back and be a
Does he deserve a max deal, though? I think he's going to demand it, and then that's just going to handcuff the Heat, because what are they supposed to do then?
Some people say that he should take a veteran's minimum, which, from his production in the postseason, I mean, maybe that's what he deserves.
Yeah.
But Jurgen Klinsmann talked about this, to segue between our first segment and our second segment. He talked about Kobe Bryant, about his $50 million contract, 2 years, $50 million contract. That contract was based on what he did in the past, not what he's going to do throughout the duration of those 2 years during his contract. So do you pay DWade Wade for what he has done, for winning championships, for winning 3 championships in Miami in the past, or do you pay him based on what kind of production he's going to give you throughout the duration of that contract?
And absolutely, that's really the ultimate question. And there's obviously talk of where's LeBron going to go. Is he going to go to Houston? Is he going to go to Chicago, Cleveland? Is he going to stay in Miami?
We don't need to start that.
We
don't need to start that madness.
We'll probably address that in some shows to come when LeBron news kind of gets more prevalent. But as you said about Carmelo Anthony earlier, this transitions right to our Bulls offseason talk. The Chicago Bulls very heavy looking at Kevin Love and Carmelo Anthony. Which one of those two do you think fits the Bulls system better, and which one do you think is a better option for the Bulls, a more realistic option?
Neither one of them is a perfect option. I think there are your pros and cons with each of the guys, as there are with pretty much anybody in the world right now besides LeBron James. I mean, there's not, besides a big ego, I mean, besides maybe being a little bit selfish, there's not much you can say negative about him. But Kevin Love, Carlos Boozer would be the guy that he's replacing. You look at the scouting report, he's basically Carlos Boozer that can step out and shoot about 5 feet farther beyond the arc. I mean, he's limited defensively. He can't defend the pick and roll at all, and that's really been the bugaboo for the Bulls in playing the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers the past couple of seasons in the playoffs. But Carmelo Anthony, if you can get him to strap down and play some defense, he has had some issues with getting along with coaches. In Denver, he pretty much ran George Karl out of town.
And that's George Karl.
That's George Karl. That's one of the most reputable coaches in the entire National Basketball Association, as is Tom Thibodeau. A lot of people talk about Tom Thibodeau as one of the best coaches in the NBA. So can Melo buy into that defensive mentality and get along with Tom Thibodeau, who already has a rift with the front office of the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yet to be determined.
The thing I like about Melo over Love at this point, I think Melo can bring the Bulls the offense that they have really been looking for. They're so set defensively right now. If they can not give up, the question about Melo and Love is what pieces are the Bulls going to have to give up to get one of the free agents? And if the Bulls can keep enough pieces, they're talking about the Bulls going after Aaron Aflalo. You look at a starting 5 of Rose, Melo, Aflalo, Taj, and Noah, with Jimmy Butler coming off the bench. That's a formidable starting 5 right there for the Chicago Bulls, but is it realistic? Some people online are saying that starting 5 is doable, that the Bulls can pull it off. Is that realistic? I don't know. But I like Melo, what he can bring offensively to the Bulls. Clearly what they've been lacking in the past couple years, especially with Derrick Rose and his injuries. And obviously we can talk a whole show about can Derrick Rose stay healthy. That's the key to this.
There's so many ifs, ands, or buts.
Exactly. But I think
that's the issue.
Carmelo can bring to the Bulls the offense that they have really been looking for. And if he has already opted out from the Knicks deal, is he going to go with the money that the Knicks can give him, or is he going to want to go for the championships that he can probably get with the Bulls if he can get together with that core group.
Well, here's the question. The Spurs, they're sort of the model franchise right now. They've won 5 championships in the last 15 years. The thing that sticks out to you about them, 9 international players. They have that overseas flavor. Tony Parker from France and Manu Ginobili from Argentina. But does that mean that they'll go after Nikola Mirotic?
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Thibodeau, he wants to play a team-type game, but you can also have a quote-unquote big three and sort of have that hybrid of playing a team game at the same time.
Exactly.
If you have a big guy like Nikola Mirotic that can also pass the ball and play out of the post, a great compliment to Joakim Noah, who's a post player who can always do similar things. He has a similar skill set to Nikola Mirotic in his own right.
Absolutely, and it's just kind of like a team built of chemistry big three like the Spurs. The Spurs technically you could say have a big three of Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili, but with role players, whereas the Heat kind of the big three and then it kind of tapers off after there. If the Bulls can kind of go in the Spurs direction, that would be a lot more productive if you're a Bulls fan, obviously.
Yeah, and I think the money is a little bit more of an issue because Derrick Rose, he just got paid his big 5-year contract, so he's locked in. You don't really have any flexibility like they do down in Miami to take pay cuts. I mean, Carmelo Anthony, I don't think he's going to back off and not take a max contract. If he leaves New York, he'll leave some money on the table, but I still think where he goes, he's going to max out as much money as he possibly can, whichever that location may be.
Absolutely. We're going to stay with basketball talk coming up next. The big draft is on Thursday. Keep it here. 3 and Out. We'll be right back. Welcome back to 3 and Out here. Johnny Lombardi alongside Connor Onion. The Cavaliers are on the clock for the NBA draft on Thursday for the 3rd time in 4 years. Connor, the Cavs with the #1 pick. 4th time since 2003 when they drafted LeBron James. As opposed to last year where the draft was not very strong, this year it's been touted as the best draft in 10 years. Hard for the Cavaliers to screw it up, but it is Cleveland. But a golden chance for the Cavaliers with the #1 pick.
Most definitely. I mean, this is one of the deepest drafts in recent memory. That doesn't even include the Harrison brothers who could have came out of Kentucky. Can you imagine if those two came out? We might go 15 deep. That could be
franchise changers.
Right. That could be potential 5th or top 5 picks in any other draft. But the Cavaliers, they've got to be counting their lucky stars. 3 out of 4 years, that's unthinkable.
Yeah.
But they have to be smart. You have to be more than just lucky. They say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but they have to be smart and good in this situation, and it's hard to screw that up with Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker at the top of this draft.
And the crazy thing about the Cavaliers getting the 3 #1 picks is that only once out of those 3 were they the worst team in the league and had the highest percentage to get the ping pong balls to fall their way, but they just
it's a lot like the Bulls.
It's a lot of exactly.
When they got Derrick Rose,
but twice
I know it's really unbelievable, and that's why people say, "Oh, the NBA is rigged." But please,
rigged for Cleveland. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're cursed from the Browns all the way down to the Cavaliers, with LeBron James leaving, and then all the history with the Cleveland Browns not winning the Super Bowl in so long. But no, they cannot screw this up. Anthony Bennett last year, I said it right when he was drafted. This has the potential to be a disaster pick. It really does, and it's looking like that through 1 year. Sure, he still has time to develop, but I don't think that he's a franchise changer, and we've seen that throughout year 1. So they could have done worse, though. I mean, they could have been the Washington Wizards, gone with the 3rd pick and gone Otto Porter Jr. out of Georgetown. But, I mean, I will go to church, I will go to the pulpit, and God help them if they draft somebody like Otto Porter Jr. with that #1 pick.
That would be a double disaster.
That would be unbelievable. I mean, if they go Joel Embiid, which I don't think they will after the fracture in his foot, but if they don't go with one of these 2 guys, I mean, forget about it in Cleveland. They're never winning. They're never winning a championship ever. But I mentioned this before the show today to you. If Jabari Parker or LeBron James are in Cleveland alongside Johnny Manziel, you might as well pack up Bristol, move ESPN to Cleveland, throw Michael Sam in the mix, move him to the Browns, and you've got
ESPN 3.
You've got ESPN 3 or ESPN 8 The Ocho if you want to go that route too.
Absolutely, but along with the draft comes a lot of trade talk, and the hometown Bulls have been involved in that, but a lot of other teams, especially in the top 10 in this deep draft, even the Cavaliers at #1, involved in a lot of trade talk.
Yeah, absolutely, and the one that made headlines this week was Kevin Love to Golden State potentially. It's looking like that might fall through. They talked about Klay Thompson and Harrison Barnes potentially going to Minnesota. That's way too much to give up, especially without Golden State having a draft pick.
Well, what is it about Golden State trying to blow it all up after losing in seven games to an extremely good, formidable Clippers team, and now just trying to blow the whole thing up. I really don't understand it from Golden State's front office, getting rid of Mark Jackson and just trying to blow that up. Complete sidetrack here, but I just don't understand that.
Back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time in franchise history, and your coach gets canned.
I know.
I mean, it's unthinkable, really.
It's crazy.
And there were so many high hopes last year after you had the Splash Brothers already in place with Klay Thompson and Seth Curry, but then Andre Iguodala comes in there. He's not really the offensive threat that people thought he would be. David Lee, a little bit banged up. He can't seem to stay healthy. Does Kevin Love really solve all your problems?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, Steve Kerr, first-year head coach, a lot of question marks in Golden State, and you take a chance on Kevin Love and it doesn't pan out. Steve Kerr, I mean, he's out the door.
If Mark Jackson's out the door,
he's
Steve
back
Kerr
with TNT,
be out the door,
which I don't mind, by the way, Mark Jackson being back on the TV side.
He's a great
he's very,
TV guy.
very entertaining.
Absolutely.
I mean, some of his phrases, I sit on my couch and chuckle every time that he has the mic behind his hand. But no, I think in Golden State, they're smart not to take that risk because they already have a good young core in place there.
Absolutely. With a lot of a draft trade talk, the Bulls interested in maybe trading up to get Doug McDermott at number 7 with Sacramento. Sacramento interested in maybe with Boston. I'm hearing a lot of trade talk for that. Sacramento's, I believe they have the 8th pick behind the Lakers 7th. A lot of talk between Boston and that pick, Sacramento and the Bulls for the Bulls' later 2 picks. So there's going to be, I think, at least a little bit of shifting here in the top 10 of the draft, which is kind of unthinkable, but at the same time, those picks look valuable to other teams with free agents. But moving on, we're going to take a look at some of the top prospects. Joel Embiid, Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker from Simeon, obviously, but a stacked top 3 minus an injured Embiid.
Well, with Embiid, we'll get into our mock draft a little bit later. I'll show you a little tease here. I'll show you just how far I have him slipping after that stress fracture. But Jabari Parker, undoubtedly to me, he's the best prospect in this draft right now. Do the Cavs think that he fits their needs? Maybe, maybe not. They did get rid of Luol Deng, so he's out via free agency. So he seems to me right now like the obvious number 1 pick. To others, maybe not, but he's tough from the perimeter. He can step out and shoot. He'll have to extend his range a little bit to adjust to the NBA game, but at 6'8", 6'9", long wingspan, not as athletic as Andrew Wiggins, but still very fundamentally sound, and he's a guy that can go and get you 20 to 25 points on a nightly basis in the NBA.
Absolutely, and now we're going to take a look at Johnny and Connor's mock top 10 here for 3 and out, and I'm going to start at the top. Jabari Parker, I think, is the safest pick, especially with the Embiid injury. The number 1 upside, he fits nicely to 3 or 4 position where the Cavs have struggled. Number 2 for the Bucks, I'm going to put Dante Exum for that number 2 pick out of Australia. The Bucks have been high on him all year long. He has size, explosiveness, a 6'6" mismatch for the Bucks at point guard. Could be dangerous in a team that's really just obviously looking to really improve a lot. This Philadelphia 76ers at 3 I have, taking Andrew Wiggins. The Sixers led the NBA in pace of play in 2014. Hard to believe, but an open floor, fast-paced Sixers. It's a nice place for Wiggins to play at the fast pace. Low team expectations, he can adjust in there. A high upside for him. At 4, I'm going to have the Magic with Marcus Smart. A Smart and Oladipo, a great tandem there in Orlando. On the defensive end, also Oladipo and Smart are great for Orlando. Number 5, the Jazz with Noah Vonleh out of Indiana. The length of development timetable is a question for the Jazz, but he's got a polished postgame, nice outside stroke, led the Big Ten in rebounding. The Celtics at number 6, Joel Embiid will be picked at number 6. A risky pick, but Boston can risk it on the huge potential reward. Julius Randle, 7 to the Lakers, an NBA-ready body up front. The Kings with Elfrid Payton, kind of a shock here, out of ULL down in my part of the country in Louisiana. A quiet no-name, creating a lot of buzz at workouts, but the Kings really like him. A 2-way upside. If they like the pick, I'm hearing a lot of talk, they might take him. The Hornets with Doug McDermott, obviously 40% from downtown in 4 years in college. They love the upside from him. The Sixers will take Aaron Gordon, another athletic specimen. Philadelphia, Noel, Michael Carter-Williams, Wiggins, and Gordon. That's a huge wow. Connor?
Well, I'll start you off with number 1. I'll go with the man, the myth, and the Mormon. Cavaliers take Jabari Parker, the small forward out of Duke. Great frame. I mentioned it previously, 6'8" or 6'9", depending on who's got the tape measure out on any given day. Those NBA draft combines, I don't know, I see all sorts of different heights. I remember DeJuan Blair back in the day, he was listed at 6'11" at Pitt. He got measured in at 6'6" at the NBA draft, so I don't know. Numbers don't really matter when it comes to height in the NBA draft, but there's a need for a big man with the Cavaliers. Luke Zeller, maybe not the answer, but Parker definitely too good to pass up. that Irving, Waiters, and Parker 1-2-3 matchup is a nightmare for teams in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks, I'll go with Andrew Wiggins out of Kansas. Owner Mark Lazary said today they're staying away from Embiid, so that means whoever the Cavs don't pick, they will probably go with either Wiggins or Parker. The Sixers at 3, Dante Exum out of Australia. 2 6'6" combo guards. If he's paired with Michael Carter-Williams, their length on the perimeter would be very, very scary. A 1 and a 2 guard at 6'6", that's almost unheard of. At 4, the Magic, Marcus Smart, the point guard out of Oklahoma State. If Aaron Aflalo is traded to the Bulls, they get Gibson in return. Smart can play the point. Oladipo, he's drawn comparisons to DWade. He can slide over and play the 2. Then he put Gibson at the 4. That's a pretty formidable starting 5 right there as well. At 5, the Utah Jazz, Noah Vonleh out of Indiana. I think he's a good candidate to replace Marvin Williams at power forward. Vonleh, I think, is definitely a candidate to be a double-double guy in the NBA. He pairs nicely with Derek Favors in that front court. At number 6, the Celtics and the Lakers back-to-back at 6 and 7. I don't remember the last time that the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers, I don't think it's been in our lifetime. Back before Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, but that's what's happening this year, and what a year for them to decide to go into the lottery because it's very deep. The Celtics at number 6, I got them picking Rodney Hood. They need to find the next Paul Pierce. He bolted for Brooklyn last year, and they're really looking for that small forward. Jeff Green, his stock's high right now at that small forward position after averaging 17 points per game last year, but he could be a nice trade chip for them to bring in one of the highly touted free agents in a sign-and-trade deal, and Hood fills Jeff Green's void very nicely. At 7, the Lakers, Aaron Gordon, one of the most athletic guys in this draft, the power forward out of Arizona. Paul Gasol, free agent. They're looking for a guy to fill his shoes, and seeing Blake Griffin and Aaron Gordon playing for the Clippers and the Lakers respectively, you've got one of the most athletic tandems in the Staples Center. That's why it's Hollywood. That's why they come to watch. They come to watch those highlight caliber dunks, and Aaron Gordon provides that. The Kings at 8, Julius Randle, the power forward out of Kentucky. I mean, Ben McLemore and Isaiah Thomas, 2 of the best guards, 2 of the best, young backcourts in the country right now. And Julius Randle up there with that starting 5 of Thomas.
DeMarcus Cousins, too.
Right. Thomas, McElroy, Rudy Gay, Julius Randle, and DeMarcus Cousins. That's scary. They should win now if they have a guy like Julius Randle. And rounding out at 9 and 10, the Hornets, I got them picking Doug McDermott. That's a potential trade slot right there at the 9 pick. The Bulls, the Mavericks, and the Rockets all in the Melo sweepstakes. But if they don't think that they can win those, I see them taking a small forward and potentially trading up into that spot with the Hornets. And then the Sixers, they're really the winners of the lottery. 2 picks in the top 10. Number 10, I've got them picking Gary Harris, also a potential trade possibility. If you recall, in 2009, the Timberwolves, they drafted 3 point guards in the first round. They drafted Ty Lawson, Johnny Flynn, and Ricky Rubio. And then they traded Lawson away to give them some financial flexibility. I mean, they already have a lottery pick, and then it's a great free agent class. So if they can pick up a number 3 pick, and then they can ship off a draft pick and get one of those top flight free agents, then the Sixers are sitting pretty.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to be back here on 3 and Out to close the show. Don't go anywhere. 3 and Out on LTTV. We'll be right back from Palmer's Place. Hi, welcome back to 3 and Out here on LTTV at Palmer's Place. Johnny Lombardi alongside Connor Onion. A big day Thursday coming up. USA versus Germany. Connor, who you got real fast?
Well, I'm feeling the mojo. I'm wearing the Venezuela jersey today, showing the people that I'm a little cultured. So I'm thinking I'm going to get the pick right. I'm going to go 2-2 draw. United States and Germany both move on to the knockout round.
Awesome. And also on that Thursday, we talked about the NBA draft, the biggest draft since 2003. Check it out. And the NHL draft will be on Friday. Look for a big day of Hawks trades to watch for the Chicago Blackhawks. A big day there. But hey, for Connor Onion, I'm John Lombardi. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching 3 and Out on LTTV live from Palmer's Place. We'll see you next time.